The John Denver mystery finally solved and isn't good. John Denver, born Henry. John Deutschendorf Jr., on December 31st, 1943, in Roswell, New Mexico, was far more than just a chart-topping singer. He was a beloved voice of a generation, with his warm, soothing vocals and deeply personal lyrics. Denver became a household name in the 1970s, rising to prominence with iconic hits like Take Me Home, Country Roads, Annie's Song, and Rocky Mountain High. His music painted vivid pictures of open landscapes, heartfelt love, and a yearning for a simpler, more harmonious life. But Denver's influence went well beyond melodies. He was also a passionate environmentalist, founding organizations like the WinStar Foundation to advocate for sustainability and ecological awareness. A devoted humanitarian, he used his platform to speak out on issues like hunger, world peace, and conservation, long before such causes became mainstream. Despite his bright public image, Denver's personal life was marked by emotional challenges. He experienced 2 failed marriages, battled alcohol-related issues, and often struggled with the intense pressures of fame and public scrutiny. These difficulties added depth and complexity to the man behind the music. Tragically, Denver's life was cut short on October 12, 1997, when he died in a plane crash off the coast of Monterey Bay, California. He was just 53 years old. Yet even in death, John Denver's legacy endures, a legacy of timeless songs, environmental advocacy, and an unwavering belief in the beauty of the natural world and the human spirit. John Denver and the musical journey that echoed across America. John Denver's extraordinary musical journey began with a simple but profoundly life-altering gift, a guitar from his grandmother when he was just 11 years old. At the time, no one could have imagined that this single moment would ignite a deep, lifelong passion for music that would shape not only his destiny, but also the American music landscape for decades to come. Drawn to the warmth, storytelling, and sincerity of folk music, young John immersed himself in the sounds of legends like Elvis Presley and the Kingston Trio. With no formal training, he taught himself to play, spending countless hours mastering chords, refining his voice, and building the musical identity that would eventually make him a household name. While attending college, Denver took his first steps onto the stage as a member of a folk group called the Alpine Trio, where he began honing his performance skills. His talent soon caught the attention of a wider audience when he joined the well-known Chad Mitchell Trio, gaining national exposure. But the turning point came in 1969 when he wrote Leaving on a Jet Plane, recorded and released by Peter, Paul, and Mary. The song became a worldwide hit, thrusting Denver into the spotlight and opening the door for a solo career that would soar. The 1970s cemented his legacy as one of America's most cherished artists. Songs like Take Me Home, Country Roads, Sunshine on My Shoulders, and Annie's Song weren't just chart toppers. They became emotional anthems that captured the spirit of love, home, and nature. With his signature acoustic sound, gentle tenor voice, and deeply personal lyrics, Denver created a style that felt both familiar and profound. By decade's end, John Denver wasn't just an entertainer. He was a voice of comfort and connection, whose songs touched the hearts of millions and forever changed the fabric of American folk and country music. The musical life of John Denver. John Denver's musical legacy lives on through a collection of timeless songs that continue to move hearts and inspire souls across generations. At the core of his body of work is Take Me Home, Country Roads, 1971, a nostalgic anthem for anyone who has ever longed for the comfort of home. Its heartfelt lyrics and unforgettable melody made it an instant classic, elevating it to the status of a symbol of American folk music. Decades later, it is still sung, covered, and cherished around the world. Another song that captured the world's attention was Annie's Song, 1974, written as a love letter to his then-wife, Annie Martell. Denver composed it in just 10 minutes during a moment of emotional clarity, and it remains one of his most romantic and enduring hits. Then came Rocky Mountain High, 1972, a tribute to nature and spiritual reflection. Inspired by the majestic mountains of Colorado, the song became so deeply connected to the state that it was eventually named one of Colorado's official state songs. Among his other gems are Sunshine on My Shoulders, a tender ballad that celebrates the beauty of life's simple pleasures, and perhaps Love, a stunning duet with opera legend Placido Domingo, which revealed Denver's musical range and emotional depth. These songs were more than just popular hits. They were musical poetry, expressing John Denver's profound love for the earth, peace, and the human experience. His ability to convey sincerity through music continues to offer comfort, hope, and a sense of connection to audiences worldwide. His voice may be gone, but his message still echoes, soft, honest, and eternal. When fame reaches the peak of art, John Denver's rise to superstardom in the 1970s marked one of the most remarkable transformations in American music history. From a humble folk singer with a soothing voice and a guitar in hand, he evolved into a global icon whose songs became the soundtrack to a generation longing for simplicity, peace, and connection with nature. The turning point came in 1971 when Denver released the iconic single Take Me Home, Country Roads. Its heartfelt lyrics and wistful melody struck a chord with millions, transforming it into not just a hit, but a cultural anthem. That same year, his album Poems, Prayers and Promises introduced a broader audience to his brand of honest, introspective songwriting. The album's success catapulted him into the national spotlight, solidifying his place in mainstream music both in the United States and abroad. Between 1973 and 1975, Denver experienced what could be called his golden era. He released a series of albums that would become cornerstones of his legacy: Rocky Mountain High, 1972, Back Home Again, 1974, and Windsong, 1975. These records included now classic tracks like Sunshine on My Shoulders, a gentle meditation on life's quiet joys, Annie's Song, a sweeping ballad of love written in 10 minutes, Back Home Again, a tribute to warmth and familiarity, and Calypso, an ode to the sea and to explorer Jacques Cousteau. These songs didn't just top charts. They created an emotional landscape where listeners could find comfort and meaning. In 1974, the Country Music Association named Denver the Entertainer of the Year, a landmark moment that sparked debate among purists but underscored his cross-genre popularity. That same year, he hosted numerous television specials and became a familiar face on programs like The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, extending his influence beyond music into pop culture. By the mid-1970s, Denver was one of the best-selling recording artists on the planet, with 4 #1 Billboard hits, 12 gold albums, 4 platinum albums, and sold-out international tours. His commercial success was undeniable. But Denver was more than just a chart topper. He was an artist with a mission. Through his music and public platform, he advocated for environmental awareness, humanitarian efforts, and world peace. His lyrics often reflected these causes, weaving messages of harmony with nature and the human spirit into his songs. John Denver's 1970s weren't just the peak of his fame. They were a defining moment in American musical and cultural history, where melody met meaning and fame served a greater purpose. His voice became a vessel for something far larger than celebrity, a yearning for peace, connection, and the beauty of the earth, the glorious achievements of a country legend. John Denver's musical accomplishments are as majestic and enduring as the mountains, rivers, and skies he so often celebrated in song. Over the course of his prolific career, Denver released more than 30 albums, many of which achieved gold or platinum status, contributing to over 33 million records sold worldwide. His gentle yet powerful voice soared to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 with 4 #1 hits: Sunshine on My Shoulders, Annie's song, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, and I'm Sorry. These tracks became radio staples and timeless anthems of love, gratitude, and simplicity. In 1975, he earned the coveted title of Entertainer of the Year from the Country Music Association, a milestone that reflected his rare ability to unite fans across genres, bridging folk, pop, and country music. His creative reach also earned him multiple Grammy nominations, with a win in 1997 for Best Musical Album for Children for All Aboard. Showcasing his deep connection to younger audiences and his artistic versatility. But John Denver's influence went far beyond charts and accolades. He was a pioneer in blending folk sensibilities with country pop melodies, crafting a sound that felt both intimate and universal. His music resonated across the globe, from Japan to Germany to the UK, and even crossed political borders when he became one of the first Western artists to tour the Soviet Union, using music as a bridge between cultures. In 1996, Denver was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to his poetic lyrics and his lasting impact on generations of musicians. His legacy lives on, not just in numbers, but in the songs that still sing through the hearts of millions. John Denver and his mark in many fields. Beyond his celebrated career in music, John Denver carved a remarkable legacy as a humanitarian, environmentalist, and advocate for science and global unity, proving himself to be far more than just a singer. He was a true Renaissance man, whose talents and convictions extended well beyond the recording studio and concert stage. One of the deepest passions of his life was environmental activism. In 1976, Denver co-founded the WinStar Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to promoting sustainable living, wildlife conservation, and ecological education. At a time when environmentalism was not yet mainstream, he boldly addressed global threats such as deforestation, pollution, and overpopulation. Using his fame as a platform, he not only raised awareness but inspired action, urging individuals and governments alike to treat the earth with care and respect, equally devoted to humanitarian causes. Denver was a powerful voice in the fight against world hunger. He testified before the U.S. Congress, collaborated with President Jimmy Carter, and served on the President's Commission on World Hunger, passionately advocating for long-term, sustainable solutions to combat famine and food insecurity. He believed that music could bring attention to human suffering, and he used his platform to give a voice to the voiceless. Denver also nurtured a lifelong fascination with space exploration. In fact, he trained with NASA and came close to becoming the first civilian in space aboard the space shuttle. Though he was ultimately not selected, his commitment to science and discovery earned him profound admiration from astronauts and the scientific community alike. In television and film, he expanded his reach even further. Denver appeared in several TV specials and took on acting roles, most notably in the 1977 comedy Oh God, where he starred alongside George Burns. His warm presence and subtle humor on screen earned critical praise and showcased his range as a performer. Through all of these pursuits, John Denver revealed himself as a man of great heart and conscience. Whether advocating for the planet, speaking for the hungry, or reaching for the stars, he showed that true artistry lies not only in music, but in the courage to care deeply about the world. John Denver and love behind the limelight. John Denver's personal life was a bittersweet symphony of deep love, devotion, and emotional turbulence. In 1967, at the dawn of his rise to fame, he married Annie Martell, a gentle, soft-spoken woman from Minnesota. Their love story was immortalized in Annie's Song, a sweeping ballad written in just 10 minutes during a moment of reconciliation. The song became one of his most enduring hits, a global anthem of romantic love and vulnerability. The couple adopted 2 children, Zachary and Anna Kate, whom Denver cherished deeply. He often spoke of how fatherhood grounded him, calling it one of the most meaningful roles of his life. His songs about family were filled with tenderness and longing, reflections of a man searching for emotional roots amidst a whirlwind career. However, as his fame soared in the 1970s, so did the pressures, constant touring, media scrutiny, and his inner battles with depression and alcohol strained the marriage. The physical and emotional distance grew wider until, in 1982, the couple divorced. Denver would later describe the breakup as one of the greatest heartaches of his life. He remarried in 1988, this time to Cassandra Delaney, an actress from Australia. Their relationship, though initially filled with hope, also ended in divorce by 1993. Despite the heartbreak, Denver remained a devoted father. He kept a strong bond with his children and often expressed his love for them through music. Behind his public smile was a man who, through both joy and pain, deeply valued love and family, even when life made it hard to hold on to them. The sudden passing of a music legend, the life of John Denver, a man who sang so often of soaring skies, open landscapes, and the beauty of flight, came to a sudden and devastating end on October 12, 1997. At just 53 years old, Denver was tragically killed in a plane crash off the coast of Monterey Bay, California, while piloting a Rutan Long EZ, a lightweight experimental aircraft he had only recently acquired. Despite being an experienced and passionate pilot, the flight lasted only minutes before ending in disaster. An investigation conducted by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, later revealed a troubling combination of factors. Chief among them was a serious design flaw, the fuel selector valve. A critical component used to switch fuel tanks had been placed in an awkward position behind the pilot's left shoulder. This forced the pilot to twist around awkwardly, a dangerous maneuver mid-air. It is believed that Denver lost control of the plane while attempting to switch tanks during flight. Adding to the tragedy was the fact that Denver did not possess a valid pilot's license at the time. His license had previously been revoked due to issues related to alcohol, a struggle he had faced in earlier years. However, toxicology tests confirmed that he had no alcohol or drugs in his system at the time of the accident. The news of his death sent shockwaves through the music world and beyond. Fans across the globe mourned the loss of a man whose voice had brought comfort, hope, and beauty into their lives. His passing felt especially cruel, a soul so closely tied to the skies taken by the very thing he loved. Though his life ended far too soon, John Denver's legacy lives on. Through his music, his environmental and humanitarian work, and his enduring spirit of peace and wonder, he continues to inspire generations. his songs remain, like echoes in the mountains he once sang about, timeless, heartfelt, and filled with skyward dreams. John Denver, a timeless icon. Behind the radiant fame and feel-good melodies that defined John Denver's public persona was a man navigating a quiet storm of inner struggles. As the 1990s approached, Denver's life, once filled with sold-out concerts and chart-topping hits, began to shift into more uncertain territory. Though he remained beloved by fans, the fast-changing music industry no longer revolved around the gentle folk pop that had once made him a superstar. Beneath his warm smile and peaceful songs was a soul grappling with loneliness, failed relationships, and a growing sense of disconnection from the world he once ruled. His second marriage crumbled, echoing the heartbreak of his first, and he increasingly sought refuge in flying, nature, and solitude. At the same time, he faced personal demons, including struggles with alcohol, which led to the revocation of his pilot's license, a painful blow for someone who found freedom in the skies. Despite his pain, Denver rarely let the public see the darker side of his life. He continued to write, perform, and speak on causes he believed in. But in his final years, there was a quiet sense of someone searching for peace, for purpose, for something deeper. His tragic death in 1997 left the world mourning not just the loss of a musical legend, but a reminder that even the brightest, most comforting voices can carry silent suffering behind the spotlight.